It's hot, but you don't need me to tell you that. Tomorrow is the last day of July, which is expected to have been the hottest July worldwide in recorded human history. Nearly 200 million people in the United States, 60% of the population, are under heat advisories or flood warnings this weekend, according to the National Weather Service. Record-breaking heat waves continue to scorch the country and the world. This summer has produced the hottest day on record globally, which was broken the next day and the next day and the next day. And some of the longest heat waves in history and the hottest heat waves, then it was the highest low temperature, the highest overnight temperature, the highest ocean temperature. It's no surprise that climate scientists have now declared July, again, one more day, but it's not going to change the average, the world's hottest month on record. Phoenix, Arizona has endured 30 consecutive days of temperatures surpassing 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Hospitals are filling up with heat-related illnesses from heat stroke to severe burns as metal and pavement reach temperatures so high that they can cause second and third degree burns within seconds. Children get burns on their feet if they don't have shoes on. Adults who collapse from the heat get burns if they fall down and stay on the pavement for any amount of time. Hospitals have seen patients come in with internal body temperatures of 105 degrees, so high that one risks brain damage and death. It's hot virtually everywhere, but if you live in an urban area, you're actually likely feeling it worse. That's because of a phenomenon called urban heat islands. Cities with a ton of concrete and pavement and metal and not a lot of green space absorb more heat. Researchers say that urban heat islands can reach temperatures that are more than 10 degrees higher than open green spaces that are just minutes away. And unsurprisingly, urban heat islands are disproportionately home, you guessed it, to low-income and minority groups. On Thursday, President Biden announced a series of new actions aimed at protecting Americans from extreme heat, including hazard alerts, enforceable protections for workers, improved weather forecasts, and expanded water storage. But many climate activists say those measures fall flat. They want to see the Biden administration take bolder action on the ever-worsening code red that is climate change. And most importantly, climate activists want to hear promises from Biden on actually restricting the production of fossil fuels. There has been progress on that front from this administration, but many say they need more, that we need more. Joining me now is Ebony Twilley Martin, the executive director of Greenpeace USA. Ebony, thank you for being with us this morning. I'm sorry that this is the conversation we have to have. I live in an urban heat island of Manhattan. It's definitely hotter than other places are, but I'm not low income. I have air conditioning. I have a lot of options. I can have people deliver my food. I can have all sorts of things happen to me to protect me from this heat. I have to bear getting to public transit or getting somewhere, but that's it. The limitations that I face are much less than the limitations other people face in urban islands with this kind of heat.
First of all, Ali, thank you so much for having me. And yes, it is unfortunate that we are discussing this. And we certainly do appreciate President Biden's efforts in addressing the climate crisis, specifically what he's laid out with hazardous alerts for workers, because we do need to take care of our workers, and investing in clean water so that our cities can receive these materials so that they can cool down, and all of the investments with the IRA in building green and renewable energy. However, what we're doing is putting a Band-Aid on a problem instead of addressing the root cause. And President Biden himself said the number one weather-related killer is heat. The root cause of the heat, what is driving this heat, is the continued production of oil and gas, fossil fuel infrastructure and build out. And we cannot continue to put Band-Aids on this issue. We have to address it. No amount of trees that we plant, no amount of recycling, no amount of carbon capture technology is going to address this issue. As you said, Americans are dealing with this every day. We are seeing 100-year floods now every 5 years. We are seeing blistering temperatures across the country. Florida's oceans are boiling. We can't even get into the ocean at this point. And then when we talk about the health impacts, we know fossil fuel production is linked to higher death rates, higher asthma rates, respiratory issues, heart disease. This is something that folks are dealing with every day. And we do need this administration to take bold and decisive action. And that is with the immediate phase out of fossil fuels and a just and managed transition so we can get to clean and renewable energy. We have technology. We just
Sorry to interrupt. I want to get to this point by showing you two conflicting headlines, both of which are actually true. Take a look at the first one. It says Biden administration oil, gas, drilling approvals outpace Trump's. It's a little bit hard to read. But on the right side, it says Biden's first year, a robust record of climate action. How do you reconcile those two things?
Youth voters did a lot to get President Biden into office. And we were enthused and very happy about it. And it is true. He has done more than any other president or administration. But Ali, that cannot be the bar right now. That just isn't the bar. The bar right now is what science and justice demand. And the science is very clear. So what we have is kind of like he's bailing water out of the boat on one end while drilling holes with the other end. So we have the approval of the the Willow Project, which many activists came out and said that was Biden backsliding on his promise. He also approved the Mountain Valley Pipeline, which will ignite over 89 million tons of carbon dioxide. You can't do subtraction while you continue to add. So while he has made great strides, it simply isn't enough at this moment. We are dealing with an existential crisis, and an existential crisis requires solutions that are commensurate with the crisis that we're dealing with.
I would say the one benefit right now to 2023 is we're not having nonsensical arguments about, what causes this, right? You're speaking the truth about fossil fuels. However, I want to show you a Pew Research poll from April of 2023, which says that the question asked was, do you believe the U.S. should reach carbon neutrality by 2050? By the way, there are a whole bunch of people who think 2050 is too far out, but 90% of Democrats and left-leaning independents say yes, 10% say no. I'd like to meet who these 10% are. 44% of Republicans and right-leaning independents say yes. 53% say no. 53% of Republicans and right-leaning independents do not believe that carbon net neutrality should be a goal by 2050. Ebony, that's not even that's low-hanging fruit by getting to this by 2050. There are a whole bunch of people who think this should be done by 2030. There's people who would like that it's done now.
I know, and that's scary. And this is like a tough issue that I think that we have consistently dealt with. I think that what we're going to have to do is appeal to people's values and the conditions that they are faced with. So if the Republicans aren't believing in the scientists, perhaps they'll believe the military. The military has been on record stating that the climate crisis is a cause for national concern. It does hinder our operations. It does also increase economic instability. When we have droughts like we're experiencing now, we have the worst drought in 1,000 years. The military is saying this is a concern. We also need to put pressure, I think, on businesses that are aligning themselves with climate deniers. Once they realize that climate change does impact their bottom line, they should speak out and not align themselves with folks like that. We also see that it's a not partisan issue in Florida. We have DeSantis, who says climate change isn't happening. And then we have the mayor of Miami, who is dealing with rising sea levels in his city, having to come up with budget conditions and rearrange finances to make sure that they have what they need to ensure that the city is protected when these Category 5 hurricanes hit. So it's not a partisan issue. And the other thing that I would just say to appeal to folks, the right, they do read the good book, the Bible. One of the first commandments was to protect and to make sure that the earth is sustainable. At this rate that we're going, Our kids won't be able to sail in the lakes that we sailed in. We won't be able to see the snow-capped mountains with them. We can't even get in the ocean at this point. So it's not a partisan issue. It's a humanitarian issue. And that's what we need to speak to.
I share your view on that. Thank you for voicing it so clearly. We appreciate that. Ebony Twillie Martin is the executive director of Greenpeace USA.